Hey there, I'm Thomas. When I first started learning guitar, I made a lot of mistakes. If we could only go back. I recently spent some time thinking about what I would do different. And if I could go back, talk to my younger self, what would I tell him? I ended up writing down a whole bunch of stuff. Now, since I didn't have a long attention span when I was younger, I decided I'd better whittle it down a bit. I ended up with a list of 6 things that I thought would make the biggest difference. I'm going to share those 6 things with you, and my hope is that it'll save you some time and frustration if you're just starting out, or even if you've been playing for a little while and feeling stuck. Now, just for fun, I'm going to start with number 6 and then go back. Starting with number 6, one of the first mistakes I made was trying to practice on a marginally functional instrument, my first guitar. Now, I wish I had the guitar to show you. It would be kind of funny now. But back then, I didn't know better, but that's not 100% true. It wasn't just about that. There was something about, for me, I didn't want to get a better guitar because I had some kind of attitude, like a real guitar player can play on anything, or I'm not even sure where that came from, but there was a resistance over and above just knowing the guitar wasn't great. And when I talk about not great, the strings were really high off the frets like that. And so when I pressed down, not only did it hurt my fingers, but the notes would kind of go out of tune a bit. So nothing I played really sounded that great. Also, it wouldn't stay in tune very well. And you can imagine trying to practice and going out of tune. I could tell at some point it wasn't right. And I realized it wasn't me, it was the guitar, and I'd tune it back up and waste a lot of time and energy. So get yourself a guitar that works right. You don't have to spend a fortune. I'm not talking about the best guitar, but the best guitar that you can reasonably afford, that works right, stays in tune, has a reasonable amount of action. I mean, how high the strings are off the frets. And when you play it, it sounds good. And it's not a struggle just to press down the strings. For number 5, I chose a lack of routine. And I really was pretty up and down with my practicing. Now, ironically, I thought I should practice for hours at a time, but whenever I'd sit down, something would come up and I would hardly get started and move on to something else. Not only that, but because I thought I should sit down with at least an hour or so to practice, I would hesitate to even make time to practice because I thought, well, I don't have an hour right now. I can't do that. If I could go back, I would tell myself, practice regularly, even 10, 15 minutes a day. Just make a routine out of it until it becomes a habit, and then squeeze more time as you can, as it feels comfortable, just knowing you always have at least that minimum amount of time to practice. And now I know, even when I make a small amount of time to practice, often I do practice more and I enjoy it. I think of it like squeezing a wedge in a crack. And once you get the crack open, you can squeeze a bigger wedge and a bigger wedge. And next thing you know, it's just a part of your life. I had no idea when I started out of the power of habit, of what they could actually do in terms of practicing as well as other areas of my life. And along with that, I would tell myself to make a place to practice, make sure you have at least a small amount of time of you're not going to be disturbed, not trying to practice with a lot of stuff going on that you're going to be distracted. And try to do it at the same time each day, but don't make it a hard and fast rule. And number 4, I wasn't organized with my practice. If I could go back, I'd tell myself to think about what's important to practice right now, spend some time on the fundamentals, exercises, things that will actually get you better, not just whatever you felt like playing or what interests you at any particular time. And of course, when I started, that fluctuated quite a bit, from easy stuff to very hard stuff that was way over my head. As a matter of fact, I tell myself to think about kind of what a practice schedule should look like and try to stick with it with some variation from time to time, just to make sure you got the fundamentals and the things that were really important that were going to move you forward. I would also tell myself, by the way, if you're going to play a song with chords, learn the chords first, practice them. I would often try to play a song and learn the chords as I went along, and I'm doing several things, and not only to get frustrating, but it started to beat on me and feel like maybe something's wrong with me. Why can't I get this? Now I could see how silly that was. I was trying to play new chords I didn't know, sometimes a half a dozen or more, and play them in time in a song, changing from one to the other. It was just too much. Number 3, Thomas, pay more attention to rhythm. Yeah, I really underestimated how important rhythm is in playing music. I was enamored by lead guitarists, and it looked like it was all about melody and technique. But now I realize how important rhythm is, and how even simple things sound good when you get the rhythm right. And I'm talking both melody and chords. I would say practice maybe with a metronome, at least some of the times. It doesn't have to be all the time. Practice listening to songs and maybe try to play along with them. Practice playing slowly and in time. And even take some time and just practice rhythm exercises. Matter of fact, if I could go back, I'd probably take even a short amount of drum lessons just to really focus on rhythm. Number two. There we go. I really underestimated the value of basic music theory. Now, before you turn this video off, I'm really not suggesting some long, drawn-out course in theory or understanding a whole bunch. I'm talking about some very basic stuff. Understand how a major scale is created. In other words, play it on your guitar and understand in terms of the notes what the pattern is of a major scale. And on top of that, learn triads. That's the basics of chords. That means 3-note triad. And triads, you can relate that to the scale. Every other note in a major scale makes a triad. There's major and minor triads. Those are the most important. Eventually, you want to get on to diminished and augmented, but really not important at first. Then, once you got at least a hang of that, you can move on to more complex chords like the seventh chords. That would be the next one. Minor seventh, major seventh, things like that. And this probably sounds silly, but I would go back and really memorize the names of the open strings so that I had them without even having to think about it. And I would practice knowing the notes all up and down the neck of the guitar, just so I could move around freely and not have to struggle every time I had to find a note. And the silly thing is, all I'm talking about is really not that difficult, and it doesn't take that much energy. I just needed to make a little bit of effort in the beginning to get this understanding under my belt, and it would apply to a lot of things I was doing. And finally, we come to number one. I should have connected more with others. And a lot of that was just insecurity on my part. Oh, I got to get better before I can either jam or even sometimes go to a teacher. I was embarrassed what I already knew and I want to show them something. No. Go out and play with others. Try, not play with somebody so much better than you, you're getting intimidated. But if a little better, it's good because you learn a lot by playing with other people. Compare notes, be humble, ask questions. Find some teacher or teachers. Now, I would recommend, I had the wrong criteria when I was younger also, and I would recommend using a criteria of finding a good teacher, not just somebody who plays good or is the style that you like, looking for somebody who knows how to teach. But that said, connecting with other people is in itself an educational experience. Nowadays, you can also do a lot of connecting online. And I'm considering just taking online courses, part of that connecting. You're learning from ideas from other people in videos, YouTube, online lessons, online forums, asking questions again. All this wasn't available when I was starting out. And it's amazing how the world has changed. So those are the 6 biggest things I could come up with. If you find even one of these helpful for you, it will have made this all worthwhile for me. Let me know in the comments. Switching chords are one of the roadblocks that holds people back. I don't know if that's what's happening with you, but if it is, download my new ebook, The 7 Keys to Switching Chords Quickly, Easily, and Smoothly. That's quite a name, huh? In all seriousness, it's the results of years of teaching and studying myself on how to help people with this, and it's free. Just click the link in the description. Now, there's absolutely no charge, but I am going to ask that you make some time to go through it and let me know how it's helped you. See you again soon. Bye.